Okay, I think that we're going to go ahead and get started. We still have several registrants that will be joining. However, we have a lot to cover, and I want to make sure that each of our speakers has ample time to present and that we have some time at the end for questions. So we're going to start with some housekeeping and introductions. My name is Peter Gravik. I'm an export project manager at the UTSA Institute for Economic Development. I work in a program that is funded through the Department of Commerce Minority Business Development Agency, and we have one of their 4 export centers across the United States here in San Antonio, Texas. And here is my contact information. At the end of the presentation, we will have a slide up that will have every firm's contact information, but you can always reach me if you need to reach out to any of the firms that are going to be presenting in this event. So again, I just want to wish good morning to everyone in the Western Hemisphere, good afternoon to everyone in Europe and Africa, and good night for those of you that have stayed up as we kind of follow the sun east in the Middle East and in Asia. We've tried to find a time where the moon is mostly over the Pacific, so this is as close as we could have gotten. For every tech event that I work in, I like to start with this little quote here, just to kind of set some context on the historical significance of modern technology and the impact that it has on human life and the human condition. This was a quote that was by Edward O. Wilson, an American sociobiologist. This was at a debate in Harvard, a little over a decade ago, and he says that the real problem of humanity is the following: we have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. If you ascribe, or at least can acknowledge, the anthropological origins of humanity and the evolutionary anthropological origins, the first statement is true. We're definitely the inheritors of historical development in terms of institutions. Many of our better institutions may be more Roman and Greek, and the medieval was kind of the bridge that got us here. And then the evolution of technology over the last 100 years has been exponential, and it is increasing at an ever more rapid pace, and that provides both benefits and challenges to the human condition that we all live in. So from there on, I'll try to get things into a more grounded and more concrete presentation. So our presentation itinerary today, I will give a brief introduction and housekeeping to the Institute for Economic Development and the Minority Business Development Agency Export Center and the work that we do. We will have 4 firms that are on the cutting edge of technology that we'll be presenting today. The first is Concept to Consumptions, which will be speaking about their global digital fashion and technology ecosystem, Technology, Innovation, and Law, which provides a global intellectual property rights platform that has broad global access and is looking to reduce costs and increase opportunity for social impact. We will have the CEO of ZPrime, which is working in scaling the future of utilities, smart cities, and clean energy. And we will have Geronimo from Dynamic Advancement speaking about cybersecurity, the cybersecurity workforce, and many of the certifications and trainings that they provide in developing that. We have a very strong community of cybersecurity down here in San Antonio, where these firms are located across the country. I believe TIL is in Washington, D.C. Both ZPrime and Concept to Consumptions are in Austin, Texas. So we're a little localized, but we work with firms across the country. On the cybersecurity front, we have a very strong community here in San Antonio. I believe we have the largest concentration of some of the more prominent certifications, the CISSPs and CISMs, outside of the Washington, D.C. area. So with that, I will very briefly speak about the Institute for Economic Development. We are hosted by the University of Texas at San Antonio, and we implement several programs and projects that are primarily federally funded. We work on programs under the SBA. We work with the Small Business Development Center Network, which is largely funded under the SBA. My program is under the Department of Commerce, the Minority Business Development Agency. We implement programs with the state of Texas, with the Department of State. We have some international organizations that we work with, the Organization of American States, primarily with our work centered on the Americas, Latin America, and the Caribbean. We work with USAID, and we have several private sector partners, including Chase Bank and Holt Industries, Holt Development Services. So a little bit more specifically on my department, we are the Minority Business Development Agency Export Center. The Minority Business Development Agency was actually started by the Nixon administration and then expanded by the Johnson administration. And we are the only federal entity that is devoted solely to the development of minority business entities in the United States. So our mission, the U.S. Department of Commerce, MBDA, is the only federal agency dedicated to growth and global competitiveness of minority business enterprises. And we are one of 4 export centers across the United States. We have experts, we work with our clients, helping them export, get access to capital, and work with foreign direct investment and all aspects of international business globally. But our center very much focuses on implementing a development schedule focused on Latin America. So I will very briefly speak about some of obviously the main issue for Latin America moving forward is that they have been significantly impacted by COVID-19, and this has economic ramifications. Latin America has 8% of the world's population, and they have about 1/3 of the cases. There is also several political events that are happening across Latin America, trends and events which influence economic development and opportunities for U.S. firms in the region. Just very briefly, we see most opportunities for U.S. firms currently in Colombia and Mexico. Mexico, because of the historical relationship and the recently revamped NAFTA into the USMCA agreement. Colombia is also a country that, although having a turbulent history, especially recent history with conflict with FARC rebels and essentially civil war conditions over much of its recent history, it has kind of turned a corner, and we see many of the policies, including free trade agreements signed with the United States, and many of the policies set by consecutive governments in Colombia to be very pro-business, very pro-US. And we see significant growth in Colombia in the near future, largely by momentum that was initiated before COVID fell upon us. And we see opportunities for US firms there. Traditionally, Chile is another country that has had significant opportunities for US firms. They have a very pro-US business culture. There has been some turmoil there with respect. There were some events in 2020, 2019, late 2019 even. There was some unrest, and they are currently in the process of revamping their constitution. However, Chile continues to be one of the highest per capita income countries in Latin America, with a very pro-US business culture and specific opportunities in specific industries. And we do continue seeing Chile to be a viable candidate for partnerships with the US. Argentina is a country that is having some slightly more challenging environment recently with the transition from the Macri government to the Fernandez-Kirchner regime coming back in. There have been significant leftist moves in policies that are largely a return to the policies pre-Macri. We have also seen significant amounts of currency instability in Argentina. They continue to work with the IMF. However, we do see volatility and potential devaluation in Argentina in the near future. There are opportunities for US firms, but there are challenges in navigating them. And those are, of course, things that we can help with. The other large player in Latin America is Brazil, which is a very large economy and often seen as desirable by US firms for that reason alone. However, it is a very challenging business country to do business in. There are simply costs that you have to factor in doing business down there, and the pricing structures are very, very different, especially for high-tech products. The Bolsonaro regime continues. They still have some time until elections, well into, they have well more than a year, almost 2 years ahead of them. So there is stability on the political front. However, there are challenges in reining in their fiscal spending and balancing their budgets. And Brazil is still they had some very significant growth up until about 2014, and they had a really significant recession since then, and they're still trying to get on track moving forward. However, this is a very large country where there are significant opportunities for partnerships and business opportunities for U.S. firms, but it is a challenging market, and it's one that we're very familiar with. Eu falo português também, me mora lá por muito tempo, so I'm very familiar with the Brazilian market specifically. In general, however, we are experts in all of Latin America, and I will go ahead and move on to get our speakers going here very shortly. I will, though, very, very briefly speak about, and I'll talk about the trade missions that we have planned for 2020. We're doing one just about every other month. Currently, they are all virtual, though we are planning on perhaps at one point this year, we may be able to travel again. I'm really looking forward to maybe going to Chile and catching up with some of my old students down there in Santiago. With that, I will transfer the remainder of the time to the firms that we will have presenting. I will stop sharing, and our first presenter will be Mr. Samuel Alexander. He is the founder and CEO of C2C Concept to Consumptions, Fashion and Technology LLC, an Austin-based business providing its clients with access to revolutionary B2B2C fashion and technology ecosystem. Mr. Alexander's experience spans more than 3 decades, and he brings together expertise in both fashion and technology, IoT, wearables. He has very advanced work that he's working on. He has a much longer bio, but I will let Mr. Alexander speak for himself. Sam, I'll go ahead and pass the mic and tell us about all the wonderful things that you are doing in fashion and technology.
Peter, thank you this morning. Welcome everyone this morning to the meeting. I will take it quickly because there's a lot to go over. Just to give you some background, my background is Levi Strauss, Gloria Vanderbilt, Jones in New York. I've been in the fashion industry for over 40 years. And what we've run into is a huge problem with the industry. Before the pandemic, we had already lost 40,000 retailers. And just in the National Retail Federation predicted by 2020 that before the pandemic that there'll be a 3 to 4% growth. But after the pandemic, we lost over 630,000 retailers during the pandemic. What we're looking at now is not only a change of era, but we're also moving into a new dimension. And anytime you have new mobility, new energy, new communications, you have a paradigm shift. Our paradigm shift has been to focus in on blockchain, virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality with artificial intelligence. The focus of our company is wearable technology, or IoT fashion. Wearable technology revenue is predicted to be a $150 billion business by the year 2028. Right now, we've got $75.4 billion of connected IoT devices by the year 2025, which is equivalent to 10 IoT devices for everyone on the earth. This is the ecosystem for our platform. I won't go through all this, but we have a global decentralized collaboration where we do global branding, global marketing, technology integration, global sourcing. We also have different divisions that we have for tools where we have an ERP, CRM, social internet platform. We've got all different products, which I won't go through now because I have a time limit. And then we also are focusing on smart products, smart networks, smart factories. We focus in on factory to consumer, factory to retailer, and factory to manufacturer. What we're doing is cutting all the middlemen out with technology. These are some of the interfaces of our platform. Just to give you a quick overview, we've got an intranet system, we've got a virtual shop, e-commerce, APIs, video conferencing, and also an ERP CRM. We use the REST application programming for all of our partners, and we've got over 20 different applications integrated into the platform as a dashboard. These are some of our collaborative global partners, and right now this is not completely up to date because I've run out of space, but we have close to 30 collaborative global partners now that are multinational and some are multi-billion-dollar companies. What we're seeing in the future of the transformation of the digital shopping is artificial intelligent bots, augmented reality try-on, mixed reality shopping, augmented reality shopping, made-to-measure clothing, and interactive digital shopping. We have introduced a mirror for the home. Originally, it was built for the retailers, but after I started working with my partners in Italy, I convinced them that we needed to redirect our energies to the home. So we are about to introduce this new mirror for the home, and we'll also put it in kiosks, retail establishments, and offices. But basically, this mirror gives you the ability to try on products. It also will become your entertainment center. It'll also give you the ability for mixed reality, social media, workout, personal avatar, body metrics, conference calls, doctor on call. You'll get an AI bot assistant and virtual try-on. The sensor that we're going to introduce, we've already got the original sensor, but we're about to introduce a new sensor. And this new 3D mirror sensor from my partners, which are Mirror Me, will be a body tracking sensor. It'll also do 3D scanning. It'll also be incorporated into the retailers with facial recognition, people counting, shelf analyzation, tons of different features that we're offering there. Augmented reality will be incorporated in here that we'll be using for the try-on and also for some other interfaces. The virtual reality will be the ability for us to track the body and all the body movements. Mixed reality, we're adding a holographic lens to this particular sensor, which will also be able to do immersive meetings meetings experience. We'll also be able to use this sensor in the home for monitoring patients and rehabilitation. Our main partner is Up Your Style, and they've created artificial intelligent bots that actually go out and shop the internet for you and bring the product back based on your preferences. And after you, with machine learning, if you have started clicking on the things that you like, it readjusts and becomes even more knowledgeable and personal to you and your personal likes. Our focus as a company is developing wearable technology. We have the ability to do all of the processes on the left there, and our goal is for preventive medicine is where our focus is. And we're going to try to eliminate having to go to catastrophe medicine and go to preventive medicine. Some of my partners are Vote, which they do sensor and that monitor blood and sugar, and Smart Textiles that release the drugs into your system from the clothing. So these are some of the areas. We also have NASA sensors that we are using. We're incorporating GPS into the clothing. We've got heated fibers and touch sensitive fibers. One of the biggest areas that were developed out of Mexico is cactus leather, which we're introducing. And the cactus leather products we're already starting to produce. And this will be a great focus on sustainability in our circular economy. One of our partners is Molecular Rebar, and they specialize in nanotech technology. And what we're focusing there is in EMF radiation shielding for the 5G. We also do thermal vision, which is another product that we use for workout and also in some of the microwave shielding products that we're using. And we also have licensing rights for Superluminal. It's a military and police grade fiber optic glove that we're introducing that will also be interacted into your phone system with Bluetooth. These are some of the other products, which I won't go through all of them, but we have GPS shirts, broadcast shirts. We do broadcast backpacks. We are focusing on energy, solar energy. We're doing solar powered products to recharge all your products. We also are moving the whole industry away from mass production into made to measure clothing. And we have our first partnership, I should say, we have multiple partnerships now in China that are basically made to measure clothing. We can actually custom make clothing for you from the factory in 10 days and have it at your doorfront in 10 days. And our prices will be less than what you would pay for at a department store for custom clothing. These are some of the products that we have now. This is what our factories look like. They're state of the art, completely robotic. And contrary to what everyone believes, our factories are beautiful factories and in great working condition. Actually, this factory here has over 3,000 employees, and the wages in this factory are 20% higher than in industrial averages in China. This is another product that we're working with. It's called Eco Cashmere. It's all natural cashmere with no dyes. And these guys have over 2,000 workers in their factory. And this is the view of their factories. Right now, my projection was to have 50 factories online this year. And so far for January, the first month, we've already got 10 factories signed. So we're moving quickly globally with the factories. And we're in 5 different countries now with factories. These are some of the other factories that we're also signed. So basically, we're coming from the back end, from the factory to the consumer, eliminating all the middlemen. We're also going made to measure, and then we're utilizing all of the technology. We're using artificial intelligence for market intelligence, trend predictions, robotics and clothing production, product customization, customer service, quality control, design and buying, chain inventory management, AI personal assistant 3D bots, and avatar fit for your personal shopping. On the blockchain, we're using it for transparency of our supply chain, intellectual property, product authentication, inventory visibility, factoring and finance, contract and data sharing, and decentralized peer-to-peer integration.
So you're almost done, but 1 minute.
That's it. Thank you. Yeah.
No, that was perfect. I think we were right at 11 minutes.
I was fighting to get it to 10 minutes, but it was hard.
We have a 10-minute cushion, which we're going to eat up. So I will very quickly move on to our next presenter. If you can please stop sharing. Our next presenter is Mr. Christopher Bennett, who has an MBA, a GD, Juris Doctorate, and a CPM with 20 years of experience in general management with expertise in business analysis, finance, law, and regulatory services development, technology, operations, and strategy in both the public and private sectors. His record of success developing and implementing change within large and small organizations spans large and small organizations. He's created over 532 million of aggregate value. He has skills in building innovative data and fact-driven solutions for sustainable business models. His passion project is TIL, Technology, Innovation, and Law, which he will be presenting on. It is a social enterprise with a mission of making the world a better place by democratizing intellectual property rights to stimulate global ideas that grow economies and improve individual lives. His firm does this by empowering marginalized and underrepresented entrepreneurs to protect and to monetize their innovation. And with that, Christopher, I will go ahead and pass you the mic. 10 minutes on the presentation, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that. I just want to confirm that everyone has audio. And if you do, someone please nod. Thank you for that. Also want to build on the theme that Peter mentioned as well as that Samuel presented. Peter mentioned the global aspect and specifically South America, Latin America. To show you what it is a small world today, we have advisors in Brazil who are advising us in technology and computer science. And we also have a strong relationship with the Empowering Women International and Latino Economic Development Center here in the Metro DC area. So we recognize the tremendous potential that global brings. Additionally, on Samuel's point, if you can imagine his extremely impressive business model and turn it on its head, we're taking a high-tech, high-touch approach. We really focus on the individuals, the humans and their stories. And we're looking to work with technology providers like Samuel's organization and incorporate artificial intelligence and blockchain in delivering services to that human element. So with that opening, let me dive right into TIL. And as Peter mentioned, our mission is to democratize intellectual property rights for marginalized and underrepresented entrepreneurs by making it easier and less costly for them to detect and to monetize innovation. I'm going to start with a human story. The image that you see, the second gentleman from the left, is my Uncle Wiley Bennett. During a funeral for a family member, my sister mentioned that it is a part of family lore that my Uncle Wiley wrote a famous hit song. I was intrigued by that because, to our knowledge, he didn't receive any compensation for that song, and he didn't have any knowledge of intellectual property. My research showed that if he in fact had written that song, it would have been worth $1,074,000 to him in 1968 terms. Potentially, my uncle was a victim of misappropriation of his intellectual property because songs are covered by intellectual property rights in the United States. We've taken at TIL the approach of engaging with underrepresented and marginalized entrepreneurs like my uncle, who was one of 13 kids born to two farmers in Chesterfield, South Carolina, and making that intellectual property right creation available to people who have not yet been able to participate in the process. So my uncle is a situation of someone who did not have. We also work with companies who do have. Our target is small entrepreneurs, startups, individuals, and not-for-profits who have not been aware of intellectual property. What we found is that solving that problem also addresses some issues that have been raised by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals of 2030, which include decent work and economic growth, reduced inequalities, and also partnerships, as well as all of their goals. So we want to empower more people to create and to realize financial benefit and to share their lives with the rest of the world. On that point, in fact, if you go forward and look at our opportunity, if you talk to our team, they would tell you that I'm kind of a nerdy numbers guy. So let me give you what we've done so far as a bootstrap startup by the numbers. We have 30 clients, and roughly about 50% are startups and small businesses, about 25% are individuals that are creative, and about 25% are not-for-profits. We've created or registered for them 17 intellectual property rights. At this point, the valuation of those intellectual property rights is slightly over $1 million. We want to scale and replicate that using technology infrastructure to really be able to reach out to new markets. What you see, by the way, has been achieved in the United States, also Vietnam, and also Ethiopia. Those are our phase 1 target markets. Our vision for scaling is to reach ultimately 2.7 million marginalized and underrepresented entrepreneurs outside our phase 1 market, which means the rest of the world. And that's why we mentioned our relationships with South America and other places. We believe that what we're doing today as a service delivered on a digital platform can be scaled through software that we're developing to offer on a global basis. We're currently focused on copyrights, although we're finding that trademarks is actually big because a lot of startups want to be able to market on Amazon. And Amazon has a process requiring a trademark. But we believe that we can scale and offer a full suite of intellectual property services on a global basis to underrepresented marginalized entrepreneurs. That gets to the point of our phase 2 markets. One of the reasons for being on this event is to work with Peter to connect with Latin American and other markets to start to prepare new relationships that will help us to advance our business model. We believe that by expanding the existing relationships like with the Latinx community in the United States, which we support today, as well as working with other partners in geographic areas we also support, we'll be better positioned to grow our model and to achieve the type of results that we mentioned previously for other marginalized and underrepresented entrepreneurs. So we have a global perspective. We've been able to deliver value for clients in the US, Vietnam, and in Ethiopia. And we're looking to learn and explore partnerships with relationships in markets around the world. I will mention that we have found that artificial intelligence, in particular, to Sammy's point, and blockchain are essential enablers for what we're anticipating doing. And just to give you a sense for how we do what we do before I transition to the close, we did research funded by the National Science Foundation in concert with George Washington University. We talked to potential clients and customers who were identified as marginalized and underrepresented. Here's what we found, and you might be able to identify with this. First, there was a lack of awareness. 95% of the folks kind of had an idea about intellectual property, but only 5% really knew what it was. Second, folks who thought about it thought it was too complex, too costly, and it wasn't effective. We found that giving them access to the right resources could actually be effective. The third, going to the costly point, is they thought it wasn't affordable. We took a version of the Stanford Extreme Affordability Design Model and designed an intellectual property rights approach that is 60% less than the standard market price to make it affordable to underrepresented entrepreneurs. In addition to having a COVID-19 Pay What You Can program, which has been pretty attractive so far in the current environment. Last but not least, and this is a significant differentiator for us, is we help our clients to realize the value of that in their terms. What does that mean? For example, we had a client with a unique teaching methodology that wanted to offer it to refugee camps, preschoolers. We've connected them with the right non-government organizations to do that. On the other side, we had a small business client that wanted a license in a new market. The license was worth $750,000. We represented them and helped them to negotiate that. So we have a skill set in helping our clients to achieve their value goals. So what I will say in transition is this: connect with us. We'd love to connect with you. We'd love to talk about markets that we haven't yet entered to get a better sense for what we need to do through partnership to succeed. And we'd also like to share a story about what we're doing with marginalized and underrepresented entrepreneurs in the markets we're in today and how we're scaling that up to be successful. If you'd like, go to our new website, which is in stealth mode. Give us your feedback on it, tilgroup.com with dashes, or get social with us. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on this platform. I want to give Peter a round of applause and look forward to hearing more stories about the other entrepreneurs and to hearing how we can support you in achieving your aspirations. So I'll hand it back to Peter.
Thank you, Chris, and it's a pleasure as always. So if you can please stop sharing your screen, I will introduce our next presenter. The next firm that we will have presenting is ZPrime, and Jason Rodriguez is the CEO and co-founder of ZPrime, which is a research, media, and events company for the energy industry. He leads the strategy and the direction of the company's market research, events, and advisory work in the clean tech and energy industry. Mr. Rodriguez has helped energy companies enter and succeed in complex and intensely competitive markets globally. And Jason, do we have audio?
Yep. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Everyone?
Do you want to share your screen?
Yes, I'm going to share it now. You guys seeing it?
Yes.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jason Rodriguez. I am a co-founder and CEO of Austin, Texas based ZPrime. And primarily what we do is really work with some of the key players in the clean technology and smart city infrastructure space, really helping advance the energy transition, which has been top of mind for a long time now, given the current state of some of the administration's recent announcements that you might have seen from the climate announcements. But this transition has been multiple years in the making. Going back to Carter, presidential administrations have always made the claim that we want to set the foundation for the next generation to really advance energy transition, really get off our reliance on fossil fuels. But we believe that all of this time has been building up to the moment we are all in now, into creating this this inflection point, not just for the energy sector, but also that through transforming energy, we also transform our society as well, and bringing new economic opportunities, unleashing new innovation, and new ways to educate our different communities, not just the US, but across the globe. And so I start off with this slide, as this is one of our good partners. This is Gil Quinones. He is the president and CEO of the New York Power Authority, which is the largest state-owned power utility in the United States. And this is something he says about us. And I think it describes the character and just the ambition of our small agile group, done And that's there in their key operations center, which we have done we've created some videos, webinars, and some research and done different things with their team there in New York. And they're also leading not just in the state, in the nation, of several of the emerging technologies, from offshore wind to cybersecurity, to using drones to better inspect systems. And so a lot of what we do at the end of the day is help tell that energy story, and just in a very creative way. And I love the different presentations just talking about all the different technologies, because we embrace the use of digital media, new digital tools to tell the energy story. If we were in business 100 years ago, you might have thought of us as maybe a company that was putting out flyers out there, getting the information out at the most effective way possible. But you just translate that into today, and that's what we do. We're just using the tools available to us through the eyes of some of the most biggest players and game changers, what I would call energy players and stakeholders, both from consumers to executives, as you see here. And my next slide. And here's a quick about ZPrime. Peter, thank you so much for that great intro. Some of the clients we work with, from GE to Esri, which is the largest GIS player, and some of what our customers say about us. But at the end of the day, this is all about right conversations, right time, transforming energy in new markets. And obviously, this ecosystem is very big, and now this is actually a conversation that's top of mind at the consumer level. If you even 2, 3, 5 years ago, you weren't having conversations about climate change, electric vehicles, but now you're starting to see this become a really kind of dinner table type of conversation, and we're excited to be a part of that and lead that through our different partners here. So what you're in the context of what also we do, just to give that there, is we also do a lot of research and collect a lot of data. And I think the foundation, a lot of what you're seeing is really built on our ability to collect data from consumers, from utility companies and different businesses about what they view as the most challenging, pressing, either technologies, policies, or regulations for them to drive their business forward. And I'll show you an example of that here in a little bit. And before I do that, I want to also say that we also do virtual events. Actually, these were all physical, honestly, and Peter has participated in a few. And we have 5 that were all physical, and they're all turning virtual over the past year. The first one, you see there, is a startup and innovation contest. This is our 4th year doing, and we actually did that in San Antonio last year. This one coming up in May, City of the Future. We partner with CPS Energy in San Antonio, and work closely with the city of San Antonio to do a conference around smart cities, all the different things changing around the city landscape. SSF stands for Solar Storage Fest. In this conversation really focuses on energy storage and renewable energy, and how that is impacting consumers, businesses, and then the overall energy landscape. But I think we're probably most famously known for our Energy Thought Summit, which was launched in 2014. It's now one of the key looking glass energy events for the utility industry that really brings executives to the table to really talk about how they can transform the energy industry. And then WE3 stands for Water Energy Nexus. And so I just say that just to not because that's some of the business that we do, right? People sponsor, they come and they pay, but it's also giving light to the thought leadership we provide across this wide spectrum that you can broadly call smart infrastructure, smart cities, or sustainability. And obviously, these are some of the things that come with it when we're talking to different customers. So I want to show a quick example here. This is our City of the Future event. We just actually announced it yesterday that we're doing this virtually. And obviously it's been done the last 2 years in partnership with the CPS Energy in San Antonio. But this year we're really excited about it because we have a chance to bring in a bigger global audience, talk to more cities around the globe around how you create and design cities around people and how they want to live. And in the context of the pandemic, how have those things changed the way cities think about designing designing future needs for their customers, but also making sure they're done in an equitable way. And I'll put these in the chat too after my presentation too. But I also want to give you a quick glimpse too of some of the research we do. I talked about GIS. So one of our customers is a major GIS provider, and they help with storm outages, from the sensors to the mapping and fires and And critical events are very dangerous for extreme weather events. You can think about the Northeast. If you're here in Texas, you think about the West Coast. I'm sorry, South Texas, where there's not just heavy rains, but hurricanes. And then you go to the West Coast in California, and then you have fires, heavy winds, and all different elements. So this study, and I won't go into it, but I just want to give you an example of the type of research we're doing when we do research with our partners. We collect data from utilities, we synthesize that, we put it together in a report, and then we put this out for public consumption. These are free. We typically don't charge for our research because we're doing it with partners and we want to get as much information out there to our audience. And critical events, storm readiness, risk mitigation are all very important to this industry in different ways. And this is just a quick glimpse and run through it. And here's a little bit of how the data is presented that we collect. And in this case, we're surveying utilities. Just a quick example here, some of the risks, and we're presenting that data. And we've been doing this, like I said, since 2005. Really started getting into clean tech in 2009 and 10 when the Obama administration announced some of their big clean energy programs. We were able to partner with different utilities to really drive all of the work that we do now in the clean tech space. And then my next slide, let's see here, because I can't see my screen too well. Because my share is, let's see, I have one more, but I can't seem to get to it. Oh, there it is. And I'll also add too, I wanted to show this, our next space. And I was really glad to hear the focus on AR from Samuel Oyer, because this is our next generation of where we're going. That's the core of what we do. We work with a lot with utilities and stakeholders across that. But in that journey that we've been on since 2007 to tell and engage more people with energy, we've kind of fallen into this AR, our work in augmented and virtual reality, but we're specifically focused to developing applications for energy education. And what you're seeing here is our group, Frolic. It's our Frolic brand that produces interactive educational experiences for energy education. And in this case, this app is both available in the App Store and in Google Play Store, but it's really designed to teach kids in a gamified way about how power flows. And I'll just play this quick video. And this is my son and daughter actually in it. You can watch it real quick. Yeah, I'll pause it there, but this was actually their first time testing the prototype for this application. And we're now working with 6 other utilities to bring this to their communities. And again, this is also part of our broader passion to bring equitable solutions to reach more people. Before we had this solution out there, big utilities had to physically go to communities, and they still do. They have big displays of what the power system looks like. Obviously, you're constrained by time and resources, and you have to get people to your events. Now that's even harder with the pandemic. So this solution allows students and educators to take energy education into their home. All you need is a phone or a tablet, and it allows you to reach more people with the right outreach without limiting it to, you think of all the constraints that people have of getting places, mobility, and how do you have access to that? Well, a phone is highly accessible to across your economic background. So we're very excited, very passionate, but I don't want to, I don't want to say, we didn't just get there. It happened through a transition, happened through, I love the forward-looking thinking of this forum, because that's how new ideas get formed. And it takes a lot of iteration, a lot of rounds of failure to get there. And we have all the scars and bruises to get there. But if you're always pushing the envelope, just like our other guests, I think this is how you continue to innovate. So this is where we are today. And in 5 years, I assume we're going to be doing different things in different ways. But we're passionate about the clean energy transition, and we're passionate about educating new people about it, because I think they're going to, if there's a leapfrog in technology, it's going to come down to that generation. My generation, we have to set the platform for them to innovate, because they're going to think differently and they're going to do different things differently. We just have to help them unleash that innovation. And I think that's the core of what ZPrime brings to the table. We do a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it's centered around creating bold change around the different things we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. And if you could please stop sharing your screen. I will just say briefly before I transition to our last speaker that we will make presentations available to all registrants at the discretion of the firms. So our last speaker is Geronimo Moreno. Geronimo is a retired Air Force veteran with a strong background in cybersecurity, customer support, and sales. During his military career, Geronimo served in several IT disciplines, including end-user support, network infrastructure management, help desk management, and information system security management. His accomplishments earned him recognition with the Air Force Information Dominance Award. Geronimo's combined IT experience led him to selection as the Director of Client Outreach for Dynamic Advancement. His formal education includes a master's degree in information technology management, a bachelor's of science in business administration, and an associate's in information systems management. He holds several certifications: certified ethical hacker, CompTIA Advanced Security, CASP Plus, I'll just use the acronyms, HDI, SCM, and there may be others. I will go ahead and yield the floor to Geronimo. You have the mic, sir. Go ahead.
Morning, good morning. Can everybody see my screen okay? Should see something that says certification 101. Thank you for the great introduction. So what I'm going to talk about is just why certification training is important, especially for the industries that we just covered. Everyone who went before me talked about technology in some way or form. And I want to approach this as the individuals that are maintaining those systems, who's checking their milestones, who's checking their aptitudes, right? How do we gauge that, right? And that's what I'm going to talk about in just a second. So just quick introduction, because Peter did mine. Again, retired Air Force. While I was in the Air Force, I spent my last 10 years in the Air Force as a cybersecurity manager, right? And part of my responsibilities was assessing the skills and aptitudes of the cyber workforce. Every single IT position, cybersecurity position has a requirement, certification requirement per the Department of Defense. And it was part of my job to make sure everyone met those requirements, right? For example, everyone in here, if you're familiar with technology, you've probably heard of Security Plus. That would probably be the most common baseline cybersecurity certification, right? That is the threshold someone would take before they advance into maybe some of the blockchain technology type of work that they do, or some of the made-to-measure type systems that are being managed, right? That's that baseline that I would make sure people had. By the way, I'm gonna need to order myself a suit, Sam. I like that stuff. So just jumping into it, right? What is a certification? So a certification is a designation awarded separate from a college degree that recognizes those who have achieved qualifications specified by an issuing or certifying authority. As a cybersecurity manager, I don't have the time to go assess the level of experience and qualifications of each individual technician. It's just not going to happen. It's not feasible, right? So I have to lean on the CompTIAs, the ISC squares, for them to set that tone for me, right? I know that if you went to ISC square and got your CSP certification, I know what skill sets you're supposed to bring to the table. So now I can give you that level of responsibilities, right? And just build off of that and teach you how we do business in our work center. Same for every other certification you see here, right? And the gentleman that went before me, same thing, right? They don't have time to go assess the qualifications of the people coming in working on their systems. They have to have a tool that's going to do that for them. And that's what these certifications are. So certification versus certificate, what's the difference? So we'll look at certifications first. Issued by a certifying body, CompTIA, ISC square, not related to a degree, can be, but most of the time it will not be, especially in the IT industry. And anyone in here who works in IT cybersecurity can attest to that. It can be revoked. So once you get certified, there are best practices, ethos, right, that you have to agree to and follow and abide by. And if you get caught and reported breaking those best practices, they can revoke your certification. Now, as the managers on here, right, what does that mean? If I find out someone lost their certification, you're out of here, right? I can't have you work on these sensitive systems if CompTIA said your certification has been revoked because you're unethical, right? So that can be revoked. So here's an example of one of the most common certifications, especially growing. We were talking about the Internet of Things, right? A lot of that is running on cloud technology. So here's an example of a certification, right? Certified Cloud Security Professional. You have one exam. Once they get certified, they have to maintain that certification with continuing education units. Me as a cybersecurity manager, if I see in your records that your certification is coming due to expire, hey, what's your plan to get your continuing education? Because you have to maintain that certification. I gotta make sure, if I'm over at TIL LLC, I gotta make sure those cloud technicians are maintaining that certification because I need my cloud infrastructure to be secure, right? And then so let's look at a certificate. This can be issued by a college or a university, can be related to a degree, doesn't have to be, cannot be revoked. Typically, once you get a traditional certificate, think any flavor of degree, right? Once you have it, it's yours. Here's an example of a certificate. Of course, a Master's of Science in Management of Technology. That's a certificate, right? Once you get it, it's yours. It's yours forever. And then here's some other examples. You can get a graduate certificate in cloud technology. Can be related to your master's degree, but doesn't have to be. And then you may have to take 3 courses in cloud technology to get said graduate certificate, which may lead to Master's of Science in Management of Technology, but you can probably get that graduate certificate, separate from the master's degree you already have. I know I get emails from my college asking me to come back to take different graduate certificates, but I help run a certification company, so it's not gonna buy. So what's the point, right? As a manager, right, you're leading teams, running a company, it just comes down to time, right? I don't have the time to check the baseline knowledge of everybody on my crew, right? But the certifications, what they do is they help establish a baseline level of knowledge, right? If you come to me again with that CISP, I know how much responsibility I can hold you accountable for. Recognize international standards. Someone with a Security Plus here in the US is that same level of specialists in Brazil, in Japan, in China, right? I know you come with skills anywhere I'm working in the world. Closer to what actually happens in the field. When you got your master's degree, bachelor's degree, whenever you got it, I don't know as a manager how current that knowledge is that you learn to get that certificate, right? But with the certification, I know that those certifying bodies, they upgrade their common body of knowledges every 3 years, typically, right? Every 3 years. So it's closer to what's actually happening. So when you come to my team and you have a specific certification, for example, certified ethical hacker, I know what you should know, right? And I know that information was probably updated more recently than a traditional academia certificate. And then it's the little victories, right? It's an intangible, right? You can get a certification a lot quicker than a traditional degree. 2 years for an associate, right? You're talking about a couple of months to get a certification and get that win. Like, yes, makes you feel good, right? A little bit of dopamine pumped in the brain. We like that. And why does that matter as a manager? You want your teams to be motivated, right? We need to keep that blockchain technology moving. We need those clean energy systems moving and protected, right? I want my soup delivered in 10 days from made to measure. I need you to have those little wins, those small victories, maybe in between working on your degrees, if that's what you're working on the team. So I started out, talking about certifications, why they're important to us. And again, it's just an assessment tool, right? That's really what it comes down to. I need to know when you come to my team that you can actually understand the jargon, understand the culture, understand our ethics, right? And the certifications, they help with that. And that's my time. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, check out our website. We also have some free workshops in some of the different IT, cybersecurity, project management, agile, Scrum courses that we run. Check us out, connect with me. Let's have some more conversations. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Geronimo. And if you can please stop sharing your screen. I want to, excuse me, I want to thank everyone for all of our guests and all of our presenters for the pleasure and privilege of being able to serve and assist in the commercialization of your efforts, your innovations, your dreams in both an organic and a structured framework. And I look forward to the opportunities to continue to help commercialize your products and services internationally and renew the vigor behind American innovation in the world. So I just want to say thank you everyone for your time. I know we've just gone over the hour. We've burned through our 10-minute cushion for questions. I understand if everybody needs to make the next meeting. I do want to mention to everyone again that the presentations will be made available to registrants at the discretion of the firms participating. And I want to leave with everybody's contact information. Please feel free to contact me if you would like to follow up with any of the presenters. Their contact information was presented throughout the event, but if there is any difficulty, please email me, peter.grabik@utsa.edu. I look forward to future presentations with our audience. And again, I would just want to mention about the work that we do at the Department of Commerce Minority Business Development Agency. Today, we showcased some of the more high-tech, more innovative firms that we work with, but we work with everything, the harmonized tariff schedule, I'm getting into the weeds here on international trade, works with everything from live animals to works of art and everything in between. Our expertise is on the international side. And what we do essentially is we help firms across industries clear the fog from the road on accessing international markets, on evaluating business plans and business propositions in a manner that makes it closer to a regular business case rather than activities in some unknown foreign country. So again, I do invite you to contact myself and reach out to any and all of our participants for follow-up business opportunities. With that, I wish everyone a happy Thursday. I think we may have some people here that cross the international date line, but thank you again, everyone, for your time. And I look forward to follow-ups from this event. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day, everyone.
Meet everyone.